Great start today's practice sitting on our shins. So knees are together, toes are untucked, your sit bones are on your heels, your chest is lifting up. Hands are resting on the knees or in the lap. Trying to find a little bit of ease in this pose. It may not be as comfortable as sitting on the floor. And taking some deep inhales and exhales here, closing into the eyes. Just bringing yourself onto your mat, setting up for your practice. And trying to find a little bit of lightness in the body, lengthening out into the spine, into the neck, drawing the crown of the head up towards the ceiling. Shoulders are gently dropping away from the ears. Face is relaxed. And bring yourself into that controlled Ujjayi breath, that even inhale and exhale through the nose. Maybe for a count of 4. And concentrating on your breath throughout the practice. If you feel like it starts to catch at any point, maybe bring yourself out of a pose and then start to bring that control back to the breath. And from here, gently starting to open up the eyes, bringing some light back in. Move your hands onto the floor next to your knees and then start to tuck into the toes. So you want all 10 toes on the mat, even bringing that little pinky toe under if you need to. Trying to get all those toes on the mat behind you. Then start to move the sit bones back to the heels, lifting the chest up, stretching into the backs of the feet. Not always comfortable, we're not used to stretching into the backs of the feet. Maybe very uncomfortable for some. Just holding it there for a few breaths. And while you're here, extend your right arm up towards the ceiling, then bring your right hand down the center of your back, trying to get it between your shoulder blades. And with your left hand, grab hold of your right elbow, drawing that right hand further down the middle of the back. Maybe using your head a little bit to push the arm further back. Should be feeling it to the outside of the right arm. And just holding it here. And slowly start to let go of that elbow, releasing the right hand down and swapping over, so extending the left arm up towards the ceiling, bending into the left elbow and drawing the left hand down the center of the back. Grabbing hold of the left elbow with the right hand this time and drawing that hand further down the middle of the shoulder blades. Again, using your head, you can push into that arm, pushing the head back. Feeling it to the outside of the left arm. And holding it here for another 2 breaths. And releasing the left arm. And bringing both hands next to your knees on the mat. Untuck your toes. And slowly start to move your hands back in line with your hips. Maybe even further back if you need to. Start to lift the knees away from the floor. So your toes are untucked here. You're stretching into the ankles, into the backs of the feet. Lifting the knees closer towards your chest. Inhale. Exhale 3. For 4. And 5. Slowly starting to drop the knees back down to the floor. And then moving your hands out in front of you, lifting the sit bones away from the heels and coming onto all fours. Hands are underneath the shoulders, knees are underneath the hips. And finding that neutral spine, maybe a slight tuck in the tailbone, belly is turned on, shoulders are pushing away from the floor. Your neck is long, your gaze is probably towards the front of the mat. Making one long straight line from the crown of the head all the way down towards the tailbone. And start to tuck into the feet, Push the chest all the way to the thighs and starting to extend the legs, coming into downward facing dog. And moving it around here, maybe bending into one leg and then the other. Moving into the neck. Just playing around, maybe coming high up onto the toes and then dropping the heels back down. Maybe bending into both legs and then extending it. And pushing into the hands and the feet. And starting to find some stillness in that down dog. Drawing the heels closer towards the mat. Chest is pushing towards the thighs. If you feel like your spine is being compromised and you feel like your spine is rounding, rather take a slight bend in the knees and then push the chest closer towards the thighs. Always being mindful of your practice, changing each pose to what suits you. On an inhale, extend your right leg out behind you. Start to open up your right hip and bend into your right knee, taking your right foot almost towards your right sit bone. From here, we're going to do a few circles with the knee, maybe clockwise to begin with. So doing maybe 5 circles moving in one direction, but really trying to make them wide circles, not tiny little circles. And use your breath here. Don't go too fast. Be mindful of the way you're moving. And once you've done 5 circles in one direction, start to move the knee the other way around. So doing circles anti-clockwise. Another 5 circles there. And after your 5 circles, extending into that right leg, squaring off your hips, coming into down dog splits, and then bringing the right knee into the nose, dropping the right knee to the inside of the right wrist, setting up for pigeon, lifting up into the chest, and exhale, folding all the way over the right knee. Feeling it in the outside of the right hip, and stretching into that hip after your circles. If you need more, and just move your right foot further away from your hip, almost kind of making it parallel to the front of the mat. That always helps with giving you more of a hip stretch if you need it. Again, also just being mindful of your knee. On an inhale, slowly coming all the way back up, lifting up into the chest, bringing your hands either side of your right knee, bringing the right knee into the chest, stepping back to a plank. On an exhale, lower your knees, chest and chin down to the floor, moving forward and up, coming into your baby cobra. And tuck into the toes, push the seat back to the heels, extend the legs into downward facing dog. On an inhale, start to lift the left leg away from the mat, extending into that left leg, opening up the left hip and then bending into the left knee, bringing your left foot towards your left sit bone. Again, moving into those circles, starting clockwise with the left knee, moving around in a circle with that left knee, again not too fast, and taking 5 circles one way. And when you've finished one way, then moving into the other way, maybe anti-clockwise this time, another 5 circles. And when you're done with your circles, start to extend that left leg back out behind you, square off your hips, and then bring the left knee all the way into the nose, and then drop the left knee to the inside of the left wrist, setting up for that pigeon, lengthening out into the chest, and exhale, folding over the left knee. Again, moving your left foot out a little bit if you need more. Just folding over that left thigh, feeling it in the left hip, stretching it out after those circles. Just breathing. moving all the way back up to center, lifting the chest and bringing your hands either side of your left knee, pulling the left knee into the chest, stepping back to a plank. This time moving the shoulders over the hands, bending the arms to 90 degrees, chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog, and exhale, rolling over the toes back to downward facing dog. On an inhale, start to tiptoe your feet up towards your hands, keeping the feet hip distance apart. And finding that forward fold at the front of the mat. Hands are either on the mat or maybe grabbing hold of opposite elbows. Again, if your spine is rounding, maybe take a slight bend in the knees. Just dropping the head down towards the floor, stretching out into the neck. Could sway it from side to side here if it feels good. Otherwise, just holding it there. Inhale. Exhale, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5. Bend the knees deeply, round into the spine and slowly start to roll your way all the way up to stand, stacking one vertebra on top of the other, bringing the head up last, the head becoming an extension of your spine. And bringing your toes and heels to touch, hands draw next to your hips, shoulders drawing away from the ears, coming to stand in Tadasana at the front of your mat. On an inhale, bend knees deeply, palms forward and up, look up, Utkatasana. Exhale, fold over the legs, Uttanasana. Inhale, coming up onto the fingertips, halfway lift. Exhale, plant the hands, you can jump, step or float back, Chaturanga Dandasana. Inhale, Urdhva Mukha Svanasana. Exhale, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Inhale, step your right foot between the hands, ground the left heel, bring the palms forward and up, look up, Warrior 1. Exhale, take the hands down to the floor, step back to your plank, bend your arms to 90, Chaturanga. Inhale, up dog, and exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, step your left foot between the hands, ground the right heel, bringing the palms forward and up, look up, Warrior 1. Exhale, taking the hands down to the floor, step back to your plank, bending your arms to 90 degrees, Chaturanga. Inhale, up dog. Exhale, rolling over the toes to downward facing dog, holding for 5 breaths. Inhale. Exhale, 1. Drawing those heels down towards the floor and pushing the chest closer towards the thighs. Finding your breath here. Inhale. Exhale, 3. Inhale. Exhale, 4. Inhale. And exhale, 5. Inhale, look between the hands. Bend into the knees. You can jump or step up between the hands. Coming into that halfway lift and then exhale, folding all the way over the legs, Uttanasana. Inhale, bend knees deeply, palms forward and up, look up. And exhale, come to stand in Tadasana. Inhale, bend knees deeply, palms forward and up, look up, Utkatasana. Exhale, folding over the legs, Uttanasana. Inhale, halfway lift, extending into the spine. Exhale, plant your hands. You can jump, step or float back, Chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, step the right foot between the hands. Ground the left heel. Bring the palms forward and up, look up, Warrior 1. Exhale, hands down to the floor. Step back to your plank, bending arms to 90, Chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, step your left foot between the hands, ground the right heel, bring the palms forward and up, look up towards the fingers, Warrior 1. Exhale, hands down to the floor, step back to your plank, bend arms to 90, Chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog, holding it for 5. Inhale. Exhale, 1. Inhale. Exhale, 2. Inhale, exhale, 3 and 4 and 5. Looking between the hands, bending into the knees. You can jump or step up between the hands, coming back into that halfway lift. And then exhale, folding all the way over the legs. Inhale, bend knees deeply, palms forward and up, look up, Utkatasana. Exhale, come to stand in Tadasana. And take your feet hip distance apart. Rest the hands next to the hips, close into the eyes just for a moment. And take a deep inhale breath here. And exhale. Another deep inhale breath. And exhale, just slowing everything down. And slowing that heart rate down. And gently starting to open into the eyes, keeping the feet hip distance apart, bringing the hands to the hips. Start to puff out into the chest, draw the shoulder blades together towards the back of the spine. Start to fold all the way over the legs from the hip crease. Grab hold of your toes with your peace fingers. Again, lengthen into the spine here first, and then exhale, fold all the way over the legs, elbows come out towards the sides, dropping the head down low. And use your belly here to bring your chest closer towards your thighs. Again, making sure that the weight is in the balls of the feet, sit bones up towards the ceiling. If you can't grab hold of your toes while your legs are straight, then take a bend in the knees, or maybe take some blocks for your hands to rest on at a height that you are comfortable with. But feel the body, feel the head dropping down towards the mat. Inhale. Exhale, 4. Inhale. Exhale, 5. Start to lengthen into the spine. Release your toes with your fingers. From here, I want you to start to lift the soles of the feet away from the floor. Slip the palms of the hands underneath the soles of the feet. Trying to get the toes right up towards your ankles. Again, lifting up into the chest, extending into the spine. And then exhale, folding over the legs, taking the elbows out towards the outer edges of the room. Moving to where you're comfortable. If you still want to keep hold of your toes, that's good. If you're on blocks, that's also okay. But just holding this forward fold once again. Bringing the weight forward. Really feel the weight on the tops of the hands and the palms of the hands. And holding it here for another 3. And 2. And 1, starting to lengthen out into the spine, releasing the hands from underneath the feet, taking the hands to the floor, and start to tiptoe the feet to the outer edges of the mat. Toes turn off the mat, heels stay on the mat. Bend into the knees, bringing the elbows to the inside of the knees, hands to the heart, coming into Malasana, holding this yogic squat. Tailbone is drawing down, chest is lifting up, shoulders are drawing away from the ears. And holding it here for 3. And 2. And 1. Start to take the hands out in front of you. Extend into the legs and start to tiptoe the feet back together. You're going to need to be able to put your hands firmly on the floor or onto blocks, maybe just a half a foot distance in front of your feet, almost coming into a box shape. You're going to need to be stable here. On your next inhale, you're going to lift the right leg out towards the side, in line with your hips, so don't move the foot forward or back. Make sure it's directly in line with your right hip. Doesn't need to be too high, and holding it there for 3. Make sure you're not sinking into the left hip, so you're only using the right for 2. And 1, slowly start to circle the right leg all the way to the back of the mat, coming into a low lunge. Drop the right knee down towards the floor. Start to bring your arms up either side of your ears. You're kind of in a lunge, but with your right knee on the floor and your hips are sinking forward. On an exhale, you're going to move the arms all the way back, drop the chest a little bit, start to extend into the left leg. The toes are starting to flex up towards the ceiling. Your sit bones are kind of directly over your back knee. From here, on an inhale, you're going to move the arms forward and up, back up next to the ears, dropping the hips down low, bending into that left leg. And exhale, moving the arms all the way back, extending into the left leg, dropping the chest down. Inhale, moving forward and up. Exhale, moving all the way back for 3. Inhale, moving forward and up. Exhale, moving all the way back for 4. Inhale, moving forward and up. Exhale, moving all the way back for 5. Inhale, moving forward and up, bringing the arms back up to the outside of the ears, and then dropping the hands down to the floor. Start to lift the right knee up off the floor, coming back into that low lunge. And with strong legs, you're going to start to lift the arms up either side of the ears, coming into a high lunge. Hold it here just for a moment, just to get your balance. Then start to step strongly into the left leg, bringing the right knee into the chest. Again, finding your balance here just for a moment, moving into tree pose from here. You're going to start to take your right knee out towards the side. You're going to either hook your right foot up onto your left upper thigh or onto your left calf, or maybe down towards the ankle, taking the right toes down towards the floor, wherever you feel more comfortable, just not putting the foot on the knee. So if you're in tree pose, taking your hands to heart center, finding your balance here. Feel that right foot pushing into your thigh or your calf, and at the same time feel the left leg pushing back into your right foot. If you have your balance, start to take your arms up towards the ceiling and holding it there just for 3 and 2 and 1, with control, starting to bring the hands back to heart center and bringing the right knee all the way back into the chest. Slowly starting to step the right foot all the way to the back of the mat, coming into your high lunge. And then open arms, hips and shoulders, coming into warrior 2 on the left. Holding that warrior 2, bending deeply into that left knee. Hips are open, back leg is strong. Your gaze is over your left fingertips. Shoulders are dropping away from the ears. Inhale. Exhale 3 and 2 and 1. From here, you're going to start to straighten out into the left leg, bringing the hands to the heart. You may need your hands here to help you get down. We're moving all the way over to the right leg. So you're going to start to bend into the right leg, coming all the way down onto the floor, coming into Skandasana. Your left knee is facing up towards the ceiling, left toes are facing up towards the ceiling. If the heel doesn't touch, then maybe take your hands out in front of you, or keeping the hands at the heart, coming into that Skandasana. And from here, you're going to take your right arm all the way out in front of you, wrap it round the right shin, and with your left hand moving towards the back of the spine, and maybe being able to grab hold of your right hand, taking that bind in Skandasana, opening up the left shoulder. So you still want to be sitting up straight or trying to get that spine up straight, and holding it here for 3 and 2 and 1. Releasing the bind, bringing the hands all the way back to heart center. I'm going to do a few knee taps, see how you go. You can stay in Skandasana if you want, or you can try moving on with these hip movements. You're going to slowly start to sit all the way down behind you, and then drop the right knee to the inside of the left thigh. From here, you're going to lift the right knee back up, moving all the way back into Skandasana. And then slowly starting to sit all the way back down, dropping the right knee to the inside of the left thigh, and then moving the right knee all the way back, coming into Skandasana. Again, slowly dropping all the way back, dropping the right knee down, moving the right leg up again, and coming into Skandasana. And 2 more, dropping all the way back onto the sit bones, dropping the right knee to the inside of the left thigh, moving the right knee up, and then moving back into Skandasana. And 1 more, dropping the sit bones down, moving the right knee to the inside of the left thigh, and then bringing yourself all the way back to Skandasana on the right. And from here, you're going to move all the way over towards your right foot, keeping the hands to the inside of the right foot. So maybe you're going to have to scoot that right foot over more towards the right, coming into a low lunge, setting up for lizard. So you can either stay here with your back knee lifted and just holding it there on your knees, making sure you're keeping that right knee in towards your right shoulder, or taking your back knee down towards the floor. That's also a good option, trying to stretch into that left hip flexor. You can also take your elbows down to the floor, maybe lifting your left knee up off the mat again, and see how you go. Always a good place to play around here. Keep in mind that that right knee is still pulling in towards your right shoulder. And just holding it here for another 2 breaths. And slowly coming back up onto your hands if you were on your elbows, lifting your back knee up off the floor, and then starting to step your left foot to the outside of your left hand, coming back into Malasana. You'll now be facing the back of your mat. For this Malasana, start to take your hands out quite far in front of you, round into the spine. So you're kind of stretching yourself forward with that rounded spine. Sit bones are kind of lifting up a little bit and just holding it there. It's nice to kind of take a few movements here. I like to move from one side to the other and just loosening up. Again, just holding it for 3 and 2 and 1, coming back into the Malasana first, then taking your hands down to the floor. Start to extend into the legs and tiptoe the feet to touch, folding over the legs. Again, making sure that your hands are planted firmly on the mat or on blocks. You want to be strong in your hands. And on an inhale, start to take your left leg out to the side, in line with your hip, being conscious of not moving that foot forward or back, and holding it there for 3 and 2 and 1. Slowly starting to move the left foot all the way to the back of the mat, dropping the left knee down towards the floor. Bring the arms up either side of the ears, so the right knee is bent. And on an exhale, you're going to start to move the arms back, drop the chest down, extend into the right leg and flex into the right toes. Inhale, start to move the arms forward, up to either side of the ears, bending into the right knee, dropping the left hip down. Exhale, moving all the way back, extending into the right leg, dropping the chest forward. And inhale, moving the arms all the way forward and up. Exhale, moving all the way back for 3. Inhale, moving all the way forward and up. Exhale, moving all the way back, extending into that right leg. And inhale, moving all the way forward and up. Arms come either side of the ears. Exhale, moving the arms all the way back, dropping the chest down. Inhale, moving the arms all the way forward and up next to the ears. And then dropping the hands either side of the right foot. Start to lift the left knee up off the floor, coming into that low lunge. And with strong legs, bringing your arms up either side of your ears, moving into the high lunge, finding your balance here first, getting your footing, and then stepping strongly into the right, leg, bringing the left knee all the way into the chest. Again, finding that balance first before you move on, making sure that that right foot is stable and strong. Moving into tree, start to take the left knee out to the side, hooking the left foot up onto the right upper thigh or the right calf or down to the right ankle. See what works for you. Feeling the strength of that left foot pushing into the right thigh and the right thigh pushing all the way back. Strong and steady, hands are at the heart. And if you want to take it further, start to take the palms all the way up towards the ceiling and holding it there for another 3 breaths. Inhale. Exhale 1. Inhale. Exhale 2. Inhale. And exhale 3. Starting to bring the hands all the way back down to heart center. Left knee moves back into the chest. And with control, stepping the left foot all the way to the back of the mat, coming back into your high lunge. Arms are up either side of your ears. And start to open up your arms, hips and shoulders, moving into warrior 2 on your right. Right knee is bent, left leg is strong and straight. Hips are facing the side of the room, arms are opening up, shoulders are dropping away from the ears. You're looking over your right fingertips, pulling that right knee out toward your right baby toe. Inhale. Exhale 4. Inhale. And exhale 5. Start to straighten out into the right leg. Bring the hands to the heart. Again, you might need your hands to help you get down here. Going to move all the way over to the left leg, bending into the left leg, taking yourself all the way down, almost to the floor with your sit bones, but you're kind of balancing with your left heel on the mat. Maybe it's lifted. The right knee is pointing up towards the ceiling. Right toes are pointing up towards the ceiling. Moving into that Skandasana. Just finding your balance here. And start to take your left hand out in front of you, wrapping it around your left shin. Right hand moves behind your spine, maybe grabbing hold of your left hand. Opening up the right shoulder and lifting up the right shoulder, finding that bind in Skandasana. If you can't find the bind, it's okay. Just keeping the hands at heart center is fine. Just holding it here for another 3. And 2. And 1. Releasing the bind, bringing the hands all the way back to the heart. We're moving onto those knee taps. See where you want to be. If you want to stay in Skandasana, that's also okay. Otherwise, you're dropping down onto your sit bones behind you and then bringing the left knee to the inside of your right thigh and then opening that left knee up again, coming back into Skandasana. I'm going to drop the sit bones down, bring the left knee down to the mat or to the inside of your right thigh, then opening that left knee up, coming back into Skandasana. And then dropping the sit bones down, dropping the left knee down, and then moving all the way back to Skandasana for 3. And then dropping the sit bones down, left knee comes down. Then opening up the left knee, coming back into Skandasana. And 1 more, dropping the sit bones down, dropping the left knee down. And then opening the left knee up, moving back into Skandasana. I'm going to take both hands towards the front of the mat, towards the left. I'm going to bring both hands to the inside of the left foot. You might need to scoot that left foot over a bit. So you're in a low lunge, but with both hands to the inside of your left foot. Setting up for lizard, maybe dropping your right knee down towards the floor and playing around here, moving forward and back. Or you can take your elbows down to the floor and lifting up the back leg, completely up to you. Being conscious of keeping the left knee moving in towards your left shoulder. You don't want to be flaring that left leg out towards the side. And holding it here for another 3. And 2. And 1. If you are on your elbows, coming back up onto your hands and lifting the right knee up off the floor again. The hands are still to the inside of the left foot. And then taking your right foot and stepping it to the outside of your right hand, coming back into Malasana. And from here, start to take your right arm in front of your right shin, taking your hand down to the floor, all the way towards the right. And then start to lift the left arm up towards the ceiling, lift the chest up towards the ceiling, and look up towards your left hand, finding that twist in Malasana. If you want to take it further, then maybe taking the bind, wrapping the right arm all the way around the right shin, and then moving the left hand behind your back, grabbing hold of your right hand or wrist. But again, keep opening up the left shoulder, looking up towards your left shoulder, lifting up into the chest. Keep the knees opening wide, holding here for 3 and 2 and 1. If you have the bind, gently starting to release, and then bringing the hands back to heart center. We're going to move our hands all the way to the right, over the right knee. Lift the sit bones up a little bit. Start to swivel all the way over to the right, moving towards the back of the mat. So you're going to be on your toes. Your sit bones are lifted a little bit higher. And then you're going to bring your left knee underneath the right ankle, coming to sit facing the back of your mat. And take your right hand down to the floor behind you, behind your spine, lifting your left arm up towards the ceiling. Start turning all the way over to the right, hooking the left elbow over the left knee, finding that twist, using that right hand to lengthen your spine, so pushing into that right hand to lengthen into the spine, and with an exhale start to twist a little deeper. Your right shoulder is opening up, left shoulder is opening up, maybe looking over your right shoulder. Inhale, exhale 3, inhale, exhale 4, inhale, and exhale 5. Inhale, moving all the way back through center, giving yourself a little bit of a derotate over towards the left, and then inhale, coming all the way back to center. Setting up for double pigeon, so square your left shin off to the now front of your mat, and then dangle your right ankle over your left knee. If this is too much for you, then take your right foot in front of your left knee. Otherwise, staying where you are comfortable. If this is good, stay here. If you want to take it further, folding all the way over the legs, finding your breath here. Inhale, exhale 2, inhale, exhale 3, inhale, exhale 4, inhale, and exhale 5. Slowly starting to lift the chest back up, unhooking your right ankle, and again just stepping it to the outside of your left knee. We're going to start to move into compass, so follow me as we go. I'm going to bring your right thigh all the way up and over your right arm. So you want to try and get it as high up onto the arm as you can. Bending into the right elbow, start to take your right hand down towards the floor. I like to actually pull my left foot a little bit closer in towards my hip as we had it before, just to give me a little bit more balance or a little bit more stability on the mat. And from here, you're going to start to take your right foot from the outside with your left hand, slowly starting to extend into the right leg, lifting all the way up, and then looking underneath the left armpit, finding that compass and holding it there. Inhale, exhale 3, inhale, exhale 2, inhale, and exhale. One, starting to release all the way back down. Right foot steps to the outside of the left knee, just as we came in. Now we're going to be moving all the way over to the left, swiveling back to the front of the mat, coming into Malasana. Finding that pose again, finding the alignment in Malasana first. And now start to take the left arm in front of the left shin, lifting the right arm up towards the ceiling, finding that twist, maybe looking up towards the right fingertips. And again, if you're taking the bind, this time you're going to wrap the left arm all the way around the front of the left shin, moving the hand behind you, and then taking your right arm all the way behind your spine, maybe grabbing hold of your left hand or left wrist. Keeping the right shoulder opening up, keeping the chest up and looking up towards your right shoulder. Inhale. Exhale, 3. Inhale. Exhale, 4. Inhale. And exhale, 5. Releasing the bind if you are there. And then bringing the hands back to heart center, finding that Malasana. This time we're going to be swiveling all the way over to the left. So taking the hands down all the way to the left side, lifting the sit bones up a little bit, swiveling on the toes, and then bringing the right knee underneath the left ankle, coming to sit facing the back of your mat. And taking the left hand to the base of the spine, right arm lifts all the way up towards the ceiling. Start moving over to the left and then hooking the right elbow over the left knee, twisting all the way over to the left, finding that length in the spine on an inhale. And exhale, twisting just a little bit deeper, looking over the left shoulder. Inhale. Exhale, 2. Inhale. Exhale, 3. Inhale, exhale, 4. Inhale, and exhale, 5. Inhale, moving all the way back to center. Exhale, rotating over to the right. And then inhale, moving all the way back to center. This time you're going to square your right shin off to the front of the mat. Left ankle is going to be dangling over the right knee, or the left foot comes down in front of the left knee. See how you feel, setting up for that double pigeon. If you're happy here, staying with the chest lifted. Otherwise, folding all the way over the legs, taking it a bit further. Find your breath. Try to soften in to the hips with every exhale. Inhale. Exhale, 3. Inhale. Exhale, 4. Inhale. Exhale, 5. Slowly starting to lift up into the chest. Bringing the left foot back to the outside of the right knee. Setting up for compass. So find your stability in your seat. And then start to bring the left thigh over the left arm, the left upper arm. The higher up you get it, the easier it will be. Bending into the left elbow and then taking the left hand down towards the floor. So your left foot is kind of dangling over that elbow. Start to take your right hand to the outside of your left foot. And then slowly starting to extend the left leg all the way up towards the ceiling, opening up the chest. And then looking all the way underneath the right armpit, holding compass. Inhale. Exhale, 2. And 3. And 4. And 5. Slowly starting to release, taking your left foot back to the outside of your right knee. We're going to be swiveling all the way back into Malasana, so moving to the right, moving all the way around to face the front of your mat, coming into Malasana. You're going to set up for crow pose. You're going to bring your hands down to the mat in front of you, bending the arms, kind of making a shelf with the arms. So trying to get like almost a 90-degree angle between the elbow. I like to bring my toes and heels to touch, and then I start to lift my sit bones up, and then bring the knees to the upper arms, and playing around here, see how you go. Maybe just playing with the weight of moving the shoulders over the hands to begin with, and maybe just lifting up one foot and then bringing it down, and then the other, and then bringing it down. Of course, you can use props here if you have them and you know how to use them. Otherwise, lifting one foot off the mat and then the other, and holding crow for 5 breaths. Again, you can play around in your crow, maybe kind of straightening out into the arms a little bit and then re-bending them. Seeing what you feel like today, depending on your crow practice, maybe moving more into a crane. Just see how you go, holding it for another 2 breaths. Inhale, exhale 4, inhale, and exhale 5. From here, you can either shoot back to chaturanga or step back to your plank and then move through chaturanga. Inhale, moving to upward facing dog. Exhale, moving to downward facing dog. Start to take your knees down to the floor, untuck your toes, open the knees up, drop the chest in between the thighs, head comes down to the floor, and resting in child's pose. Finding your breath, slowing everything down, releasing into the hips. With every inhale, feel the belly expanding onto the thighs, and every exhale, feel the belly drawing back. Again, you can take your arms behind you if it feels good for now. Just adjusting to what your body needs. Just holding it here for another 3 breaths. And with the arms out in front of you, start to tuck into the toes, extending into the legs, coming back into downward facing dog. From here, start to bring your right knee all the way into your nose, really round into that spine, and then drop the right knee to the inside of the right wrist. We're setting up for pigeon, but we're doing the back bend of pigeon. Again, moving to where you can and what you need. So for this one, you're keeping the chest up. You're going to start to move the hands further behind you, trying to find that arch in that back for your pigeon. Just make sure you're not rolling over onto your right hip, and keeping the hips up, keeping the hips straight. Your back knee is pointing down towards the floor. If you want to take it further, you can bend into the left knee and grab hold of the left foot with your left hand, kind of finding that quad stretch along with the back bend, pulling the left foot closer towards your sit bones. And if you have more, you can then try and hook the left foot into your left elbow, to the inside of the left elbow, kind of hooking it there, and maybe lifting the right arm up towards the ceiling, moving it behind your head and grabbing hold of your left hand, coming into mermaid and holding it there. Again, try not to drop over to the right. You want to stay centered, and coming out of it if you need to, holding it for 2 and 1, releasing your hands, releasing your left foot, slowly dropping it back down to the mat. Behind you, both hands come either side of your right knee. Start to tuck into your left toes, bring the right knee all the way into the chest, step your right foot back into a plank. Exhale, lower your knees, chest and chin, and move forward and up into a baby cobra, so your chest is lifting up. From here, you're going to roll all the way over onto the right. You're going to start to almost sit up onto the right side or onto both sit bones facing the back of the mat. The left knee will be bent on the floor next to you. Right hand will be on the floor, and you're going to start to move into a wild thing from cobra, and holding it there for 5 and 4, 3 and 2 and 1. Slowly starting to lower the sit bones all the way down, rolling over onto the belly, tucking into the toes, pushing the seat to the heels and moving all the way back to downward facing dog. On an inhale, start to bring the left knee into the nose. Hold it there just for a moment, dropping the left knee to the inside of the left wrist, setting up for your back bend pigeon here. Moving to where you want to go, so either you're just taking the hands behind you, finding that arch in the back, or moving into another version of bending into the right knee, maybe grabbing hold of your right foot with your right hand, pulling the right foot closer towards your right sit bone. Again, don't roll over onto the left hip, keep the hip straight, and maybe then hooking the right foot into the right elbow, setting up for mermaid, taking the left arm up towards the ceiling, moving the left hand behind the head, grabbing hold of the right hand, still lifting up into the chest and holding it here for 3 and 2 and 1. Releasing the hands, releasing your right foot back down to the floor. Hands move either side of your left knee. Tuck into the right toes. Bring the left knee all the way into the chest. And then move back to your plank. Exhale, lower your knees down to the floor. Chest and chin come down to the floor, moving into baby cobra. From here, rolling onto the left side, kind of coming up to a seated position. Your right knee will be bent, right foot down towards the floor. You're going to sweep the right arm up towards the ceiling, lifting up the hips, coming into that wild thing from baby cobra, holding it for 5. Inhale. Exhale, 2 and 3 and 4 and 5, lowering the hips all the way back down, slowly moving back onto the belly, and then tuck into the toes, push the seat to the heels, extend the legs, coming all the way back into downward facing dog. Start to roll yourself forward into a plank, and slowly with control, lower yourself all the way down onto your belly. And bring your forearms out in front of you, one hand on top of the other, and rest your forehead on the hands. Just taking a few breaths here. Again, feeling that belly expanding onto the mat with every inhale, and with every exhale, drawing all the way back. And take your right arm out onto the floor next to you. Your right arm is extended, it's shoulder distance away, or shoulder height on the floor. Bring your right ear down towards the floor. Bring your left hand underneath your left shoulder. Start to move all the way over onto the right side of your body. Bring your left foot behind you onto the mat, so your left knee is bent. You're drawing your left knee up towards the ceiling, stretching into the right shoulder, and using that left hand to push you a little bit deeper if you need to, and holding it here for another 3 and 2 and 1. Slowly moving all the way back onto your belly, moving over onto the other side. Left arm extends on the mat next to you, left ear comes down towards the floor, right hand comes underneath the shoulder, moving all the way over onto the left, bending into the right knee, taking the right foot down to the floor, right knee is pointing up towards the ceiling, and stretching into the left shoulder, maybe pushing into that right hand if you need a little bit more, holding it for another 3, and 2, and 1, moving all the way back onto your belly. Forearms come out in front of you on the mat again, resting your forehead on your hands, just taking a few breaths. And slowly starting to move over onto your back, bringing the knees into the chest, maybe rocking it from side to side, maybe doing a few circles clockwise and anti-clockwise. And take your left foot down towards the mat. Keep the right knee into the chest. Start to extend the left leg on the mat. Grab hold of your right foot with both hands and slowly start to extend the right leg, maybe pulling the right leg closer towards your nose. You might need to grab hold of your right calf or thigh instead of the foot and see how you go. Just holding it there. Inhale, exhale 3, and 2, and 1, bringing the right knee all the way back into the chest, extending your right arm out onto the mat next to you, and then draw the right knee all the way over to the left, using your left hand on the outside of the right knee, finding that twist looking over your right shoulder. And close into the eyes here just for a moment. Find your breath. Inhale. Exhale 3. Inhale. Exhale 4. Inhale. And exhale 5, bringing the knee all the way back into the chest, and bring your left knee into the chest as well. Start to drop your right foot down to the mat, extend your right leg onto the floor. Grabbing hold of your left foot with both hands, start to extend into the left leg, maybe pulling it closer towards your nose, maybe grabbing hold of the calf or the thigh. And holding it there. Inhale. Exhale 3. Inhale. Exhale 2. Inhale. And exhale 1. Start to bend into the left knee, bringing it back into the chest, opening the left arm out onto the floor next to you, drawing the left knee all the way over to the right. Maybe grabbing hold of that left knee with your right hand, finding that twist and looking over your left shoulder, closing the eyes, finding your breath. Inhale, exhale 3, inhale, exhale 4, inhale, and exhale 5, slowly starting to bring the left knee back into the chest, bring the right knee into the chest, give yourself one very big squeeze, even bringing the head up towards the knees, squashing into all parts of the body, even into the face, really tensing up. And then releasing yourself down onto the mat, sitting up for Shavasana, taking a few deep inhales and exhales just to release the body, releasing all control of your breath, all control of the body, and taking as much time as you need here, Concentrate on moving all the way from the toes up towards the head, and maybe each time you get to a specific body part, just saying the words, relax. Namaste, have a beautiful day.